New blog 14. The new day dawned, and I couldn't wait to get to Marimian. I really didn't want anything to eat, but I brought some fresh figs the day before, and thought now to take them with me. Washed, dressed, out into the street, and along the ways that were becoming so familiar, until reaching the tree-lined avenue where Marimian lay nestled, I paused, taking stock. Was I too early? There seemed at first to be no one about. Then I noticed two other applicants, already waiting under a tree, and a man sitting on a low wall almost out of sight. As I approached, this man rose to meet me. I recognized him as one that was often on the gate. His name was Jude. He asked if I would wait with the others as the front entrance was still locked. I went over to the two young men beside the tree, and they nodded in a not unfriendly way, though none of us felt the need to enter into conversation. It was nice just to be there. Waiting was a pleasure in itself. Several others arrived, and it wasn't long before the double doors were swung open and we went inside. Mother Mary herself greeted us, and I gave her the fruit I had brought, which she asked me to take through to the kitchen. A woman was brushing this end of the hall, and the girl Sarah arranging things at the other. In the kitchen, Susanna took the fruit from me and smiled. "Are you here preparing to receive the truths?" "Yes, I am," I answered, but I felt there was more behind Susanna's question. Otherwise I would have been asking for something to do to help, I supposed. So I added, "Are women not generally accepted then?" "Yeshua accepts us all," she answered. Then after a slightly pregnant pause, "But none of us, I think, have challenged for this right to be known amongst the men. We are all hoping it goes well for you. Our hearts are with you at least." I thanked her, for I felt the genuineness of her good wishes, and wondered, not for the first time, what had I taken on. Coming back into the hall, Jude had opened the outer shutters, letting the light stream in with morning air. The scent of cedarwood from the pillars of the room reminded me of the breezy slopes where these trees grew, remembered from my journey up the coast to Antioch. Long ago it seemed now. Looking back, I reflected that I had always been pushing the boundaries, literally at that time, not really knowing where it would take me. All leading, incredibly, to being in this room, in this house, on this day. More people arrived, Mark and Joe both together, who greeted me warmly. Susanna came from the kitchen with a wide plate covered in small slices of two different melons, passing amongst us and offering us what we might want before placing the plate on a table to one side. I took a slice, enjoying the refreshing taste of the watery fruit. Names were being taken by the door, and several of the Master's close disciples had joined us in the room. The brothers James and John, and Simon and Judas too. Thomas and Peter had left a couple of days earlier to join up with the disciples who were going town to town in Galilee, spreading the news of Yeshua's mission of healing and renewal, preparing for the Master to follow after. All this had been happening in the last couple of weeks. The pressure had been building in Capernaum, and we were thought to be the last group awaiting the Master's tuition before he went abroad in Galilee, and maybe even to Judea. Then almost before we knew it, we were all once again sitting in the front room, waiting for Yeshua to come. James took the seat beside the Master's chair, giving thanks in his calm and measured way for the opportunity to be there. Thanks for the new day, and for the chance to understand its value more, to go deeper into the beauty that is clearly with us, but which we struggle to hold on to. We try, though it never quite works. What we want eludes us, time and again, until we get dispirited that real fulfillment can ever be ours, all with our lives drifting past. When hope is at its lowest ebb, the Master comes and offers us the way to go inside, to where our home is as ever it was, complete, untouched, waiting our return. He paused and hesitated, looking to where Mother Mary and the women sat at the back. This gift he brings is like a drink of purest water to a man dying of thirst in a sea of salt. It may look similar to the salty water, but only when we drink it can we realize that it isn't. Only after trying it do we know it is good and can slake our thirst. He looked again at the back and nodded slightly. To drink the first sip, we must have some trust. How many times have we tried the salty water and been sick? How many times have we tried to refuse the temptation to try it again? Then comes this person saying, "Why do you not drink the pure water you have with you, in your own water skin?" And we say, "What nonsense are you talking? We know all about the right way to drink, when water is pure and when it is not, and the correct times to drink it. Go away, we don't need your help." But you know, we do. We really, really do. Just the simple kindness of showing us what we already have, forgotten about. No two people had turned around, because James's concentration seemed firmly fixed on the back of the room. I did as well. Yeshua had come in the other door and was standing at the back, listening and watching. Perhaps he had been there for a little while. Everyone turned around, and the Master walked into the middle of the group, looking immaculate in a robe of palest cream, smiling and relaxed as being amongst friends. He stopped and asked a man's name and what he did, and another where he came from, a third how long he had been waiting and where he had heard the call to come. He wandered easily about, but I think he managed to speak to everyone. He stopped a moment by me, asking how my mother was. I told him she was well and hoping he might visit some day. He nodded, smiling, and moved on. "You are all welcome to the entrance hall of the kingdom," he said. He had reached his customary chair and sat down, filling the room with his presence. "There is no amount of money that can buy admission. Only your sincerity will suffice. Bring true sincerity, and you will be able to share in the bread of life that has no end. The uncreated power is everything, is in everything. Nothing exists but by its will. Its nature is that of purest love, which the Master comes to demonstrate. By holy breath, the power of life is spoken into man. When man can unite with holy breath through love divine, that is the sacred marriage, from which issues the new birth into everlasting life. Receiving the Master's gift, you are truly reborn in spirit, and your task is to stay at that point of clearness, of simplicity. There is so much to do that needs doing, and to be able to stay in that simplicity whilst doing whatever is needed is what brings the kingdom of heaven to earth. That is not a task like any other, and only meant for those who want the truth in their lives. For that truth is the love that takes everything to itself. Sitting listening to Yeshua was like listening to my own heart talking back to me. No room for unwanted thoughts, just the wish to listen.